Hi, Scott Machine Gun Dad. Welcome back to my channel. This video is tries to explain my love-hate relationship with Ruger. Not that Ruger gives a shit, but this applies to people more in my generation than the younger generation. First of all, Ruger does make some good guns. They did. I think their 22s are like the 1022 and the Ruger Mark 3s, Mark 4s, and 445s, great guns. I've come to like the P89 series and the P90 series because I've got them and shot them. Mini 14 is kind of like, I like it, but it's not a great weapon system, but it's likable. I'm not a hunter, so I can't talk about the Ruger guns hunting, but the Ruger 9mm pistols and stuff, the polymer ones, I think are junk. Their ergonomics are terrible. But that's not what causes the love-hate relationship with Ruger. The love-hate relationship with Ruger goes to Ruger management. For those of you who are my age or a little bit younger, we lived through the Clinton assault weapons ban, 94 to 2004. And when they were first proposing that, they brought in a bunch of people, and Bill Ruger, who, that's his company, endorsed the assault weapons ban. He was in favor of the assault weapons ban. And even without the ban, he refused to sell anything higher than 20-round magazines to the public. If you had a Ruger AC 5.56 and you wanted factory Ruger 30s, you usually had to get them out of a police department or a wholesaler. There was law enforcement that would sell it to you. You could not order them directly from Ruger. So Ruger, the company, was in favor of gun control. Strike one. Strike two. This gun. When I got this gun, I was probably the second. It was a reissue. I think they got the Rugers in 81. I came on in 83. So it was probably another cadet had the gun, didn't finish the academy or got fired or whatever, and they immediately reissued it to me. So when we got these guns, I think it was 600 or 800 rounds of 38, and then probably 1,000 rounds of 357 to qualify, maybe 800. Unlike most troopers I practiced, I shot them at least twice a month with my factory gun with 357 Magnum. So what happens is the guns got sloppy. I mean, really sloppy. I went to a stress shooting course, and there was so much slop in my cylinder that I was shooting off the barricade, and the barricade was plywood, that it blew the plywood apart and blew it back into my face. It was actually on video. The state wouldn't give me a copy of the video. So subsequently, say 6 years later, from when I got in the 80s, 88, 89, Ruger says, now it's not just Trooper Howard that's complaining, it's all across the state. Guys are complaining that there was so much wobble in the cylinders and so much gap at the forcing cones. They were getting all this flash and lead splatter coming out of the side. So Ruger sends their reps out to the stations and teaches the station firearms instructors or the head firearms instructor how to gauge these to see if they were engaged. Now take into account, at the time, I could take this and move this under full lock. It still moves a little bit, but dramatically. And not only could I move it this way, it would rock back and forth. So the guy comes in. He was the Ruger rep that came to my station. He's got his feeler gauge. They look like spark plug feeler gauges, the old metal ones. And he's doing this, he's checking the forcing cone, and he's doing this, and then he looked at the locking lug, and he's looking back here, and he saw, that gun's, there's nothing wrong with the gun, the gun's in spec. I'm like, no, it's not in spec, the gun's fucking dangerous. And he said, no. It was, well, I'd say 2 or 3 years later, 91, 92, we went to the first issue Berettas, and they gave you an option to buy your Ruger. Well, I'm going to buy it. It was my first service weapon. So after I bought it, about a year after I bought it, I went out shooting, and it did the same thing. It was throwing so much lead. The guy we were shooting pistols off one of those dual tables. He was getting lead splatter on the back of his hand from my gun. So I called up Ruger and I says, I want you to check this gun out, because at the time Ruger had a lifetime warranty. Okay, so I sent it back. I get the gun back in about a month and a half, maybe 2 months. Lock was bad, cylinder was bad, barrel was bad. They gave me a new barrel, a new lock, new cylinder, replaced the internal springs, and they said that it was completely out of spec. Yet their inspector inspected that gun less than 100 rounds before that and said that gun was fine. They didn't want to honor the warranty on 4,000 state police Rugers. These guns were so bad that the department didn't want to buy any more security 6s. They bought the GP 100s for the officers. Taking into account the complement of the state police doesn't go down. It's around at the time it was around 4,000. So if they have to go out and buy 200 or 300 GP 100s, what happened to the security 6s? They were failing. And Ruger said they were fine. That's why I love or hate. And my final, that's 2. And my final one, Bill Ruger passes away. Ruger starts making the AR-15. So now Ruger's selling AR-15s. They don't apologize. They don't say we course corrected. They don't say we Bill might have fucked up a little bit there. They owe old timers like me an apology for the way their company has acted over the years. Not really knocking their products, I'm just knocking their management. It's my opinion. You guys can argue with me all you want. I lived it, I saw it. I carried this thing out of spec for a year because Ruger said it was fine. Thanks for coming to the channel.